All right, welcome back. Throwing Hammers podcast, UFC 290 review. So we're a little late on doing this. We were out of town. But,
yeah, International Fight Week, though, we're back.
But anyways, we had a couple, we missed a couple good fight night main events, too, that we can just touch on. I want to start with Josh Emmett and Ilia Topuria.
Yep.
I thought, Ilia Topuria reminded me a little of how Yair Rodriguez looked in his last fight. Mm-hmm. And...
the one for the interim
how
belt?
dominant he was. Yeah.
Not this past fight. But
right.
Before,
okay.
right.
Not against Volk.
Yeah. That was against Josh Emmett.
Not that one. That was also against Josh Emmett. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So, I thought it was complete domination by Topuria. I mean, he was really dominant on the feet, just outclassed him every step of the way. And I think that, maybe Topuria is the next guy to fight Volk. I don't know. I think that, looking at that division, who knows what Volk's going to do, but I mean, he's got to be in the conversation anyway. After that dominant, performance,
right?
He looked really good.
Topuria is also he's always impressed me. I mean, going back to even when he fought Bryce Mitchell, I was like, what the fuck
and
was that?
Yeah, exactly. And on that card, if you remember, he was talking shit to Patty. That was the big at the big press conference.
Right.
Like him and Pat, he was just calling Patty out basically and telling him what a piece of shit he is.
Yeah.
And whatever.
Didn't they have some interaction in the fighter hotel or something like that? I don't know.
Yeah, something.
Possibly.
But then, Topuria goes out and just dominates Bryce Mitchell in that, and that was like a wake-up call to everybody to say, this guy's legitimately good.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Really good. And they gave him a good fight in Josh Emmett and took care of him, no problem, really. I mean, I didn't see anything from Emmett that was really threatening Topuria at all, but whatever. I just wanted to mention that one, which I thought was a really good fight that we didn't really talk about.
Right.
Because we missed a couple weeks here. But and then the next fight night on July 1st,
Strickland,
another good main event that I thought is important to touch on was Sean Strickland and Magomedov.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a really, really impressive performance by Strickland and one of those fights where, Sean took it because basically nobody else wanted to fight this guy, and basically he's like, yeah, I'll fight him, whatever.
Yeah.
And took it, and then, the guy,
ran with it.
The first round was kind of like Magomedov kind of dominated the first round, but, I think that was part of Sean's game plan was kind of try and tire this guy out.
Right. Use his experience.
And I don't know if that was really a game plan or not, because I saw in the post-fight interview, he kind of said that, I thought his gas tank was really good in past fights that I've watched. So, but he was surprised that coming out in the second round, he looked tired. Magomedov looked tired, and Sean just, dominated and took him out. I mean, I haven't seen a finish like that from Sean Strickland in a long time.
Yeah, really good to see from him.
Completely and that's what they say about, or not they, I don't know who they would be, but anyways. We that's what I always view it as, can you finish, you know what I mean? And when you have a hurt opponent, I mean, he finished him, that was the most important takeaway from that fight. And I think, you're really looking at, he may be in line for a title shot down the road, I know
definitely.
that it's going to be Dreykus and Izzy, but but who knows after that? I mean, I think Sean really has taken that step by keeping active, keeping these fights going.
He's fighting all the time.
Filling in. I mean, whatever. He fought last time, he just filled in.
Right, yeah. It was
at a random
within a week
notice or whatever.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, I'll fight again, whatever.
Right.
And then taking this fight that basically he's like, okay, I'll fight down in the rankings. I don't really give a shit. I'm going to beat this guy anyway. So
exactly.
I don't know. He's awesome. I just love Sean Strickland. I just think he's so awesome.
Who, like you said, that's important to touch on. He fought down in the rankings. A lot of guys would be like, no, I don't want that fight. I'm progressing in my career. I want to fight, whoever, number 5 or number 4 or whatever. And he was like you said, I'm gonna beat the fuck out of this guy anyway. So yeah, I'll fight him. I don't care.
Right, and that shows a lot to the UFC brass to say that, oh, this guy will fight anybody anywhere. And a lot of people say that, but how many people actually do that is a different story. So, I think he came up and showed that, yeah, I'll fight this guy that, seems dangerous and people are kind of avoiding maybe or whatever. And, that's kind of what Dana said in the post-fight interview too, was that, that's what he did. And it shows a lot, and it's going to go a long way as far as, that goes. And I think that, we'll see him fight a bit,
Yeah.
probably get another chance at Izzy.
Right. Speaking of fighting anyone, he fought Pereira. I mean, he did lose in the first round, but he went and stood and banged with Pereira. I mean, it's clear he doesn't really care who he's fighting. He just wants to fight, and he'll fight at any time, anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's why I like him. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so good on that. Let's move on to UFC 290, which was this past Saturday.
Yeah, International Fight Week.
Yeah, International Fight Week. I thought this was turned out to be much better than I expected it to be honest.
Yeah.
I knew this was going to be a good, obviously they put together a good card. I was expecting a good, some good fights, but really kind of blew me away as far as kind of what happened in general, in a general, overlooking, we had some monumental things happen. We had some fights that, were controversial, some upsets, some decisions that were, maybe, really close decisions.
Right. I think the UFC or the fans in general were thirsty for a really big, exciting card, and delivered. They had, obviously it was stacked. It's International Fight Week, so they're going to stack it with names and everything like that. But I think we were really in need of a banger card, and that's what we got. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's, and we can, I think we should just start with the Robbie Lawler fight. Yeah. I think that, the prelims, we can, whatever, we only have so much time, so we'll go through, and there's enough to talk about if we start with Robbie Lawler and what a great performance he had, and how we just don't usually see that. A guy that announces this is going to be his last fight, a lot of times gets knocked out, or a lot of times doesn't,
It's a unforgiving sport in that aspect.
Yeah, it's not like announcing your last season in baseball and doing your farewell tour and hitting some home runs. A lot of guys get knocked out, and unfortunately some stick around too long. But, I mean, Robbie Lawler is, it just hit me this week that, I did that one post about how Robbie Lawler, I just from watching all the highlights of him and seeing and remembering all those fights that he was in, it was like that guy was the original Justin Gaethje, I thought. Because, I mean, that guy just didn't care, and that's the same attitude that Gaethje has. He's just going to stand there and throw with you.
Right. Right.
And you go back to recently, even with his fight against Brian Barberena, which didn't turn out his way, but the guy stood right in front of him, just threw like a madman.
Yeah.
And obviously we can go back to all the amazing fights that he's had.
He has a long history and left a legacy in the sport.
Right. I mean, obviously there's fights we can talk about like that, but I just thought, what a great way, to end it, obviously. And Robbie Lawler's never been the guy that's going to talk on the mic and, spout at a press conference or anything like that. But, I mean, it was awesome to see him get emotional after. And, he's been doing this for, I think he says since he's been, in the UFC for 20 years. You know? So I forget the age or whatever he started, but I mean, just amazing. It's an amazing, and it's awesome to see. I heard something too the other day that Robbie Lawler is the last Pride fighter to fight in the UFC. So after now he's done. That was the last Pride fighter when UFC bought out Pride.
Wow.
They brought over, some of their fighters, obviously, and Robbie Lawler was one of them.
I knew he fought in Pride. I didn't know he was the last.
Yeah, so he's the last remaining one from that Pride buyout.
Wow.
Yeah, which is interesting to realize.
Right, he's been doing this for 20 plus years. It's worth it to go back and look. If you don't know about Robbie Lawler, it's worth it to go back and look at the history of him, because it's something that needs to be appreciated. Yeah.
Right. I mean, obviously, it's just an amazing performance, an amazing career. And to turn out like that, where he just dominated. A good fighter.
Remember when he fought Nick Diaz? Sorry to cut you off, but
Yeah, right. Beat Nick Diaz. But I'm just saying to go back and whatever in this fight to beat a guy like Nico Price, who's a dangerous fighter,
Right.
And he just
A guy who's closer to his prime. I'm not saying he's in his prime, but
yeah, and the fight itself, I mean, it just
Younger
turned
athlete.
out like everything went his way. He got it. He got a right hand around his head and landed an awesome punch, and then landed another one right after that, and just knocked him out. I mean, it was basically a 3-punch knockout.
Right.
So
incredible. What a way to go out.
and I think it was like what 38 seconds. I don't even know, but
I mean, just a few stats that I'm looking at right here from his career: 22 wins by knockout, 1 by submission, and then he has 13 first-round finishes. So pretty incredible. 13 first-round finishes.
it is, and obviously, I think what everybody remembers is this fight against Rory McDonald and what an absolute war that was.
Arguably
And just
the best fight of all time.
unbelievable. And that fight just went in the UFC Hall of Fame this week.
Rest in peace, Rory McDonald. By the
But
way.
yeah, just incredible. So you go back and look at that, it's just unbelievable. So
Yeah, no, unbelievable career. Definitely wanted to touch on that. It's a great place to start the podcast with that because first round finish in 38 seconds, just absolutely amazing. What a way to go out. Like you said, that doesn't happen very often in the sport. That's something I've learned in the past. I don't know. I feel like I've really realized that in the past maybe 3 to 4 years of watching this is like, yeah, there's rarely a nice send off in the sport. It's
doesn't happen
usually-
very
yeah,
often. I'm trying to remember the last one that someone, well, Amanda Nunes, I guess, but we didn't realize she was retiring. 100%.
Nunes or Khabib, but those are,
Yeah. I mean, those weren't announced beforehand.
right, exactly. Who just was it Frankie? No, not Frankie Edgar.
It was Frank Yetter got knocked out.
In his last fight,
Yep.
yeah, and his family was there. That was tough to see.
Yeah.
But that's usually what happens. Like we said, it's usually a case of 1 or 2 fights too long, and
Yeah, it's not a sport for the whatever they call it. The weak-hearted.
I was going to say
whatever.
weak-hearted.
I don't
yeah.
even know what they.
Well, because a lot of the
that saying
times you
is,
see
but-
these guys, and they're they've been fighting for 20 years, and you have watched their whole career, and then it's like, okay, this is his last fight, and it's tough to see him just go out there and whatever get.
Yeah, you want to see it
knocked
end
out or
well.
something
You
like
just
that.
you always want to see it end well, and it just doesn't end well a lot of times. So,
But this time it did, so very cool.
but amazing. Yeah, I'm looking at the stats here too. 22 win. I mean, Robbie Lawler's record 30-16, 22 wins by knockout, 1 win by submission,
Yeah.
13 first round finishes, including this one, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just looking at that laughing because it's like I'd like to compare that to Justin Gaethje's stats. It's probably the same.
Probably similar.
And I remember Gaethje's last fight against Fiziev. It was like remember he took him down in like the last 30 seconds, and he was just like, "Yeah, that was for all you assholes that
so you can't wrestle.
all you assholes that tell me I should be taking people down or whatever."
Right.
Because he never does that.
Another parallel to Justin Gaethje. I mean, Gaethje did say this is probably his last run at a title, last run in the UFC.
Yeah.
So big fight coming up with him at the end of the month as well.
Yeah, we got lots to talk about that. We won't talk about that now.
Yeah, we won't open that floodgate
I mean, whatever.
just yet.
We need a
No.
whole
I
preview
was
for
gonna
that
say, yeah,
card because it's
that'd be an hour long.
It
talk.
is just amazing. So, all right. So good on Robbie Lawler. Congratulations, Robbie Lawler.
Yes,
Amazing
sir.
career. And I wanted to say one more thing too. It's like when I first started watching the UFC, I don't know how many years ago it was. I watched for a while. I didn't watch for a good period of time. And then, obviously recently we've gotten back into it with podcasting and all that. But it's awesome to go back and remember, some of those guys when I first started watching, and watching this kind of what got me into it. And it was like just amazing amount of talent that was back there when I first started watching with Chuck Liddell and all those guys. It's just,
Yeah, no, it's cool. You're seeing the
Amazing.
other end of it now, which is very cool.
yeah, amazing. So, all right, let's move on to the main card. We had another. So that was 38. Oh, they were both 38 seconds. So
Oh, shit.
Robbie Lawler 38 seconds,
Wow.
Bo Nickel 38 seconds.
So one thing I will say as I was rewatching some things, they broke a record. There was 4 fights finished under a minute.
Oh, wow.
And yeah,
that was the most ever?
Most ever in UFC live TV history.
Oh, that's crazy.
So yeah, it's incredible. 4 fights were finished within a minute of it starting. I thought that was insane. Speaking of a banger card, that's a criteria right there. I don't know. Obviously, you'd like to see a long war or something like that, but when you see something like this, like Bo Nickel or like Robbie Lawler, this kind of fight is always exciting as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and this fight, I even forgot who Bo Nickel was for. Oh, Treason, I think the guy's name was.
I thought it was Gore. Wasn't it Gore?
Trezin Gore is his name.
Okay,
okay,
like yeah. You had the first name. I had the
it was
last name.
Gore. Yeah, I think it's Trezin or something, but
yeah,
I'm not sure. I forgot his name, but
yeah.
I'm not even sure what happened there. I mean, Bo Nickel kind of announced that he didn't even say that. Like when he found out, I just saw some little clip where he was like, "Yeah, my opponent pulled out or whatever." So he didn't mention he was injured. I didn't even look that up. I wasn't sure what happened there.
I think I was gonna say when I found out, I just got a ESPN notification saying that Gore was out of UFC 290.
Yeah, so good on Val Woodburn, which nobody knew. Obviously, nobody knows who he was. First fight in the UFC, steps up to the main card to fight arguably one of the arguably the best up and coming prospect in the UFC.
Yeah. Big spot for Woodburn. I mean,
yeah, and Woodburn
kicking off the main card of the biggest pay-per-view of the year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, none of us knew who this guy is. Apparently, he's a champion of some league in Florida, is what I found out.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome on him. I thought he did great in the press conferences. He was just there to fight. I mean, the guy was and the guy's a friggin' tank. I mean, that guy is like put together. I mean,
right.
He is a big dude, short and stocky,
Yeah. I love and we get it all the time, which is nice, but I do love the last minute fill-ins or whatever. I love just seeing those guys who are like just chilling at home, doing dishes and whatever, taking care of their kids. And
you want to fight Bo Nickel?
3 days later, you're coming to Vegas and you're fighting on International Fight Week for the first fight in the UFC, kicking off the main card against Bo Nickel. Huge spot. I don't care what happens in the fight. I think that's very cool.
Yeah.
For Val. Yeah.
Like, hey, Val, you want to fight Bo Nickel this weekend? He's like, what?
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, obviously you're a UFC fighter, so you're probably going to take that fight, but it's just an amazing story, amazing thing to see.
Yeah, first fight in the UFC too, which is crazy. But I mean, and so I thought he did awesome in the press conference, which, I mean, obviously if you're thrown into a national press conference, you're probably going to be crapping your pants. But he seemed very, very with it, very engaging, very confident in his abilities, which whatever. And obviously, whatever, he got knocked down in 38 seconds. So I'm not trying to take anything away from Bo Nickel here. Amazing performance.
No.
But
all the shine's on him for sure.
I mean, we'll talk about Bo Nickel in a second. But one more thing on Woodburn during this fight too. It's like the guy came out and was throwing bombs. I mean, I'm not kidding. That first punch he threw, I mean, went over Nickel's head, and if he did not get out of the way, the guy was throwing bombs.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I mean,
good on him for just coming out and saying, "Fuck it, I'm gonna."
Yeah,
it's all or nothing in this one.
Yeah, right.
Because he knew. Yeah. I mean, obviously, you're going up against the guy that's highly touted like Bo Nickel, whatever. But I mean, he let it all hang out for sure. Yeah. He was coming out throwing bombs, and on the other side, I thought Bo Nickel super impressive. Didn't use any wrestling this fight. Yeah. Kind of step back, and kind of. I think, even though it was 38 seconds, it was just, if you go back and watch the fight, it was like he was processing all this stuff that was going on. It was just like, okay, I just got out of the way of that huge
went for a
punch.
Takedown.
And did he go for a takedown?
He like kind of like half, like it was like a half. I don't know. He shot and then kind of backed.
Yeah, I mean, what stood out to me was just like how he hit him with one. I don't know if it was a right or left, but just stunned him like with a jab, and then. Val kind of like stepped back a little bit, and then Bo Nickel just stepped back too. He was just like, hit him once, he stepped back, stepped back in, hit him again. He kind of looked like Wonder Boy, like his stance, like the karate stance almost. Yeah. He was just like, hit him again, okay, and then hit him one more time, and he was knocked out basically. Yeah. I mean, it was probably more than
space and timing.
Yeah, really patience was the thing. Yeah. It was just like, holy cow, I couldn't believe the amazing amount of patience where. he saw he had the guy hurt, and then it was just like, okay, I'm gonna hit him one more time and see what happens.
Right. Yeah.
See what this guy's all about.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna go in and hit him one more time and just knock him down.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I watched that fight again this morning, and the first overhand right he hit him with, they played it back in slow motion. Val never even saw it.
Yeah.
Like, he never even saw it. Like, he kind of, slipped it. I don't know. It looked like he never saw it coming. Which
I got to go back and rewatch it, too, because I'd like to see. I went back and rewatched some of the fights. I didn't rewatch this one, but I thought it was super impressive by Bo Nickel. It's super impressive. Like, you just don't see that patience all the time, and taking care of that, being responsible, and just instead of just like, oh, I'm going to start winging punches at this guy because he's hurt.
Yeah. Right. Not just head hunting right away.
And yeah, I'd like to see the punch stats on that too, because I'll bet Bo Nickel probably threw, I don't know, less than 10 punches and connected with 7 of them or 8 probably.
Clean.
I mean, I'm just saying was very efficient in that aspect too. He wasn't just winging punches when Val was covering up and hitting his arms and stuff like that. He was looking for openings.
Yeah, I mean, 7 total strikes, 7 significant strikes.
Does it say how many attempted or no?
No, I think it was. I think he was 7 for 7. I think he was 7 for 7 with it. Yeah,
he was batting 1,000 in that fight.
Insane. Insane. Yeah.
7 for 7. I'm sure he was, because I don't remember him missing any punches.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it was funny too. I saw a video of him in some interview after the fight. They were talking about the texts that he received. I think I was telling you about this. It was like his favorite one was from Chael Sonnen. It was like, keep your head up, better luck next time, or something like that. And then he responded,
that's so funny.
Yes, sir, back to square one. So just funny. It's cool how he's, they announce him. He's fighting out of Penn State. Like, he's not very often you see that, a guy just coming out of college wrestling right to the UFC.
Well, and the other thing is, I could tell in his last, in watching highlights of him and watching his training, you can really tell he's working on his hands, and his hands are becoming legit. It's not just wrestle guy, and I think that's what, obviously if that's how anybody would be. If I'm like only good at wrestling, I want to prove to people that that's not the only thing you should be worried about.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly.
So yeah, I mean, obviously we can't wait to see what's next for him. So
yeah, hopefully they jump him up like they, in the past couple of years have been doing with fighters, where they fight 2 or 3 no-name guys, and then all of a sudden they fight a top 10.
Yeah, it's hard to say if that's going to happen or not. I don't know.
I think they want to nurse his career a little bit.
He's only had 5 fights in the UFC, so.
Yeah, 5 fights, 5 first-round finishes.
But I mean, do they give him a top 15 guy? I don't know, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's a middleweight. Just step him up. Fight Izzy.
Well, that's the thing.
Step up, young man.
You got Dreykus, and then maybe Strickland.
I mean, that's the thing. I'm hoping Izzy is around long enough that we can see Bo Nickel fight Izzy.
Gotta see it.
Because I mean, obviously this is and if Izzy's around for a couple more years, I'm assuming we're going to see that.
I would say it's safe to say we'll see it.
Because I'm looking at the bottom. Top 15 and the bottom 10 are like, I don't really see anybody giving him too much of a problem. I really don't. I mean, you got the likes of Chris Curtis, Kevin Gastelum, who looked awesome, Brendan Allen, Jack Hermanson, Delice, Brunson, you got Paulo Costa.
Yeah.
I mean, how great would that, if they really want to do something fun, let's give him Costa. Yeah. Costa's fighting at the end of the month, but at the end of the year, maybe we see him fight. I'm just kidding. It's probably not going to happen, but I think you're going to see him fight one of these bottom tier guys, or not bottom tier, but bottom 15 guys.
I mean, give him Strickland
first. Yeah, who knows? I don't know. I think a guy like that who's so just running through anybody you give him, I think you got to step it up a little bit. Obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just the way I feel. Yeah. But who knows? I mean, I think that's what they did with O'Malley, and it's like, okay, Sean, you're running through everybody, and you look really good here. See what we can do with Peter Yan,
And he fucking did it. So who knows?
So, I mean, we'll see. And
now he's fighting for the belt,
right? And now he's fighting for the title. So
yeah,
who knows? We'll see what happens.
Yeah, but great on Bo Nickel. I don't know.
Yeah.
Much else to say.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, good on that. Let's move on. Jalen Turner, Dan Hooker, another, I mean.
Blonde Dan Hooker.
Yeah. Tattooed blonde Dan Hooker.
I was like, who the fuck is this guy?
I think did he have any tattoos before?
I don't know.
Even know.
Minimal.
I got to go back and see if
inked.
he did. But now both of his legs are tattooed, right? And his back.
And his back. I was going to say his
and
back.
the upper part of his back anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a totally different guy. I mean,
yeah.
compared to the Dan Hooker we've seen before. But I mean, I saw this fight, and I'm like, how can this not be fight of the night? Like,
right.
Until the Moreno.
Pantoja,
until the Pantoja Moreno fight.
But still,
but
I mean,
this obviously was fight of the night. Obviously was before that fight. So yeah, you could make an argument that until the Moreno Pantoja fight, that was fight of the night. I mean, incredible back and forth thing. Mm-hmm. And I thought like Turner was kind of getting the best of him in the first round for sure.
I'd say first round and a half. Yeah.
But then like Dan Hooker just like it seemed like something snapped and was just like, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna just go at this guy, and you want to trade punches, we're going to fucking trade punches.
Yeah, I thought he was, like, hurt, kind of down and out type of deal.
Yeah, I mean,
then he just came back from the dead.
Yeah. Incredible amount of resilience and incredible amount of just throwing caution to the wind and saying, okay, Jalen, you want to fight, you're going to have a fight in your hands right now.
Right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a split decision. I think Dan Hooker definitely won the fight. Looking at the total,
I think I only watched this once, but I'd like to go back and watch again. But initial reaction, I thought, yeah, Hooker should get the decision. I just thought he had the better of the exchanges. I thought he had the better. They were both kind of being careful in the first round. I thought Turner landed the better punches. He was being
some of those high kicks. He was like slapping him in the face with his fucking foot.
Yeah, exactly. And how does he survive that? One was just like unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, how does he even survive that high kick right to the head?
Yeah.
But I mean, just turn on the gas in the second round and just was like, let's go.
Let's do it.
I'm ready. Like, and I love these blonde-haired guys who get a cut on their forehead too, and their hair turns.
Their hair turns red. Yeah, right. Just makes them look
that
like
was
a fucking,
cool too. Yeah,
like
that happened.
warrior.
That happened before in another fight I just watched. I think it was last weekend. I don't remember who it was.
Yeah.
But I forgot who it was, but the same thing. Guy was like dyed his hair blonde and was like,
it's a cut on his head. And
gets a cut on his head and it's all
red hair.
Like turning into red-haired guy. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, just incredible. But I don't know what more to say on that because I thought it was definitely fight of the night. I mean, Jalen Turner definitely brings it every time.
Yeah,
and I thought even last time his fight against Gamrot was amazing.
Yeah.
And I just thought, was it against Gamrot? Yeah, it was against Gamrot. And he ended up getting a decision in that one too. But which it doesn't say there. This is weird. But anyways, I know that he got the decision in that one. But just incredible. That was I think that was a 5-round fight too.
Was it?
Gamrot and Turner. I don't know.
Well, I was going to say this is one of those fights that
I'm not really sure. But anyways,
no matter who loses, they don't lose stock in their career.
Perfect.
You know
perfect example of that. You're right.
Yeah.
Because decision goes either way. Both of these guys are cemented in their own right as far as these guys are legit contenders.
Yeah. I mean, no doubt it was a close back and forth fight. It was a split decision. Not saying the judges are always on point with what they see, but it was a very close fight. I think, it could very well be a round and a half to a round and a half.
Yeah, it could have definitely won either way, and I thought that, I don't know. I thought that, even looking back at the fight again, you're right. It could have gone either way, and if it went the other way and turned, I wouldn't have been disappointed. I would have been like, okay, well, I can see that too.
Yeah.
Because it was really one of those fights where I just didn't know which way it was going to go.
Right, exactly.
I initially thought Hooker, but then I'm like, well, I don't know if the judges are going to say that.
Right. Because, Jalen Turner put it on him he won the first round easily. And then, like I said.
Yeah. Yeah, and the judges must have had Hooker winning the next two. So
yeah.
But anyways, I thought that was awesome. So awesome on Dan Hooker. I can't wait to see who he fights next. I mean, I thought Dan Hooker was kind of like on a downturn after like Chandler knocked him out.
So he needed a win, right?
But
needed a good win.
He's had some, I mean, those last 2 fights have just been awesome. So, so he's really, really good. And hopefully we get to see him progressing up the rankings a little bit and see what he can do. So, all right, moving on to I can't believe we got these 3 fights to go yet.
I know, right?
But anyways, this is the one I watched again because I just had to see like what happened here and like how did Dricus, how did he do it?
How did he put out Whitaker? How did he do this to someone like Whitaker?
Of that stature.
Right. Yeah. Because nobody does this to Whitaker.
Right.
Except for Izzy. I mean, but it's like.
Right. And Izzy wasn't even that. I mean, Izzy knocked him out too, but it wasn't as impressive as this. No. I don't, whatever. Maybe it was, but this is recency effect, obviously. But, I mean, Dricus kicked the shit out of him at the end.
Yeah.
Just completely destroyed him.
Yeah.
And I thought, through the first round, I thought it was pretty even. I mean, Dricus cut him over the right eye. He had Whitaker had like caught an elbow and had a decent cut over his right eye. But, the back and forth thing was pretty even in the first round, I thought. And, when I was going back watching it, I just thought, how did this happen? Where was the turn of events that happened that allowed Dricus to just pounce?
Right.
And this is what we talked about before about the finishing aspect. It's like, this was super impressive to me because he saw an opening and he finished him.
Yeah, but he finished him in the right. He didn't just like Perea it and headhunt and just throw wild.
Right.
He was hitting him with body shots.
Well, and that was the thing. So if we back it up a little bit to say, okay, how did he stun him? He stunned him with a jab.
Yeah.
And he stunned him with a jab going forward as Whitaker was also throwing forward. So he hits him with the jab. And then Dricus immediately steps backwards and just puts his arms up.
Yeah.
He doesn't even see what happened.
Right.
And he said that in the interview, too. He was like, next time I looked up, he was on the ground all fours.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even know that happened.
Yeah.
So basically, there was a delay there. If he saw that he dropped him, it might have been a different story. He might have gotten on top of him when he was on the ground.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He backed up, covered up, then looked, and Whitaker was on the way back up, and then he went after him.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a fine balance, right? Of not getting over aggressive, but being able to finish in the right way. Right. Yeah.
Right. And it wasn't necessarily patience. It was just smart.
Yeah.
Went to the head, landed a crushing body blow. Like, I mean, you go back and watch that, and that sent Whitaker doubling over.
Yeah.
That body blow basically put him on one knee.
Yeah.
And then, Dricus just finished him after that. Just raining punches down on him.
Yeah.
And
performance of the night for Dricus.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
I mean, it was incredible. People have been doubting this guy, and I'm guilty of that like anybody. I didn't think he's as good as people or he's touting that he is.
Yeah.
I just didn't.
Yeah.
But
he proved that.
But after this, I mean,
he got the nose surgery. He can breathe.
Yeah, that's a funny story.
Yeah.
I mean, the funny part of it is if you go back and watch all his other fights, he's just breathing like he's out of breath all the time.
He looks like he's dying. Yeah.
Like breathing through his mouth all the time.
Yeah.
And now, he got nose surgery. He can breathe through his nose and doesn't have that restriction, which obviously has to help him. Obviously has to help his cardio. Right. But yeah, just incredible. And like I said, we saw an incredible performance against Darren Till last time too.
Yeah.
And I think people like that was the fight I was really doubting him in because I was like, this guy's kind of goofy, moves kind of weird. Yeah. I just, he's just not like his body's kind of weird. Like he's super bulky up top and but he's huge. Like for the weight class, I just think he's huge.
He's incredibly big.
Yeah. And it's just but nobody can deny this guy now. Seriously.
No, he's in line for a title shot now, no question.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that Izzy wanted him to win. He wanted a shot at him. He wants something different, something interesting.
New. Yeah, right.
He wants a guy to come up the rankings
Right.
and challenge him for his title now, and he's got what he asked for. I mean, he immediately stood up in the crowd and was staring him down, got in the ring after during his interview and stared him down, whatever. And I heard Dana White talking of, it was a funny thing that he said was like, they asked him in the post-fight interview, it's like, what was the conversation? Did you want Izzy to come in the ring? Or he goes, no, I didn't want him to come in the ring, but it was a conversation we had, he said, and he promised me nothing was going to happen or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing crazy was going to happen,
Yeah.
So he let him do it, whatever. But interesting, yeah. I mean, awesome on Droicus. I mean, I think, like I said, like you said, nobody takes care of Whitaker like that. And like we were saying before, if Izzy wasn't around, Whitaker would be the champion for 10 years because he's beaten everybody else.
Yeah, right.
He's literally beaten everybody else.
We were talking about it, like I said, I don't know if it was yesterday or this morning or what, but it's like same thing with like Colby and Usman or Holloway and Volk. It's like if this one guy isn't there, there's someone else there's someone else right behind him.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you get with a dominant champion. There might be always that one guy that's like, you just can't get over the hump, and Whitaker just couldn't get over the hump.
Yeah.
Covington just couldn't get over that hump. I mean, he just couldn't beat Usman.
No.
If Usman wasn't around, Colby's probably beating everybody else.
Same thing with Holloway.
Yeah. Same with Holloway.
Yeah.
So amazing performance. Congrats to Droicus. I mean, we can't wait to see. They're talking about 9 weeks. I don't think that's a possibility.
We'll see.
But we'll see. It's hard to think about coming back and that quick a turnaround. But
for a title fight,
probably end of the year. I would think we'd see something.
Yeah,
for sure.
But yeah, I would assume it's going to be announced relatively soon. Either way, whenever the fight takes place. So.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Exactly. All right, let's move on. Co-main event, fight of the night: Brandon Moreno.
Yep.
Alexander Pantoja. Not much to say about this. I mean, there's a lot to say about it, and there's
equally not a lot.
Equally not a lot in the sense of, I just can't, I can't believe what an amazing fight this was, to be honest. Yeah. And Pantoja was amazing.
Yeah.
And Moreno was amazing. And I just thought, my couple takeaways from this fight was Brandon Moreno is probably one of the fastest boxers I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I thought he was amazing when he got taken down, and his hand fighting and getting out of those positions, body triangles that Pantoja had him in, got out of those. It was just incredible amount of wrestling on the part of Moreno, which you don't normally see him do.
Right.
And takeaways from Pantoja, the guy is an animal. The guy just keeps moving forward. I mean, Moreno was just hitting him with that jab, like peppering him. It reminded me of Gaethje hitting Fiziev.
Yeah.
17 times in a row. It was just like bang, bang, out, bang, bang. It was like, and Pantoja's face was wearing it.
He wore it, yeah, for sure.
So was Moreno. I mean, but it was back and forth, split decision, and I thought could have gone either way for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they fought twice before.
Twice before, but a long time ago.
We'll probably have to see
when both of them were not as good as they are now. I can tell you that.
Yeah, right. Right. No, yeah. I mean, I think we definitely have to see it again. Like you said, it was a very, very close fight. Pantoja takes the belt. It's something we're gonna have.
Yeah,
to
and my takeaway on this is that I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion or not, because I really haven't been gauging what people have been saying on Twitter and stuff like that. But the way I feel is that I don't think he did enough to take the belt. I just don't. And I feel like in order to take the belt by decision, you have to have a dominant showing.
Right.
And I just don't think it was dominant on one side, one or the other, to be honest. But
so it goes back to go ahead, sir.
No, I'm just saying, to be the champion, you got to beat the champion decisively.
Yeah, so it goes back to the conversation, like when you're fighting for the belt and you're challenging for the belt, do you have to do something? Do you have to win in a more convincing fashion? Does the belt make it? I don't know.
I think it does.
Yeah.
I just view it that way, and maybe I'm wrong.
You
I'm
have
not
to do more to win the belt than a regular fight.
I think you do. You're trying to become world champ.
Yeah.
You're trying to become the best, one of the best fighters in the world.
Can't just eke it out and squeeze it by.
And not like, and it's hard. This fight's really, really hard to say that about, because it wasn't a fight where we're like, oh, it was back and forth a little bit and it was a decent fight. No, this was a fucking awesome fight, and back and forth, and both guys wanted it really bad.
Yeah.
You know, but I think in the end, when it comes down to it, I just think you've got to be convincing enough to say, okay, that guy should be champion now.
Yeah. Right.
You know?
Yeah, no, I kind of agree. I think, another perspective on it is whoever is the champion is fighting. Every time he fights, he's fighting the best person available.
Right.
You know what I mean? Unless you've beaten everybody, you're fighting the best person available. So, yeah, when you lose the belt, it should have to be more convincing.
Yeah, and I can see the argument that Pantoja won the fight, sure, and maybe he deserves to be champion. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be champion, because, like I said, if it was a fight where it was close and there's not a lot of action or something, or it's just like all kind of wrestle, whatever, they're holding each other on the cage and all that kind of shit, where it's like, if Moreno was trying to just hold, because some of the, I'm not going to point anybody out, but some of the champions will just, okay, I'm going to hold you on the cage and play it safe and not take a lot of damage and take you down a couple times and win a couple rounds. This was not that at all. No. This is just back and forth, constant action. Yeah. This was not any, I'm going to eke this victory out because I'm the champion. I'm going to hold you against the cage and not do much and win a couple rounds here or there and cruise to another victory. This was not that at all. No. And good on Moreno too, because, And I think maybe it has to do with the weight class too, flyweights. I mean, it's a little bit harder to I feel like it's a little bit harder to have that kind of game plan because there's so much action. They're so fast and they're so elusive and hard to keep on the ground and all that.
You're 100% right. Them being elusive is a big part of it, I think.
Yeah, I just thought it was an incredible fight, and like I said, could have gone either way. And I mean, I'm happy for Pantoja too. I like both guys. I think they're genuinely good guys, and I feel like Pantoja is just like, I mean, it was awesome to see. Did you see his kids come in the ring?
No, I didn't.
Oh my God, he's got these kids. I'm hoping I'm remembering this correctly. I think he's got 4 boys, and they all have really long hair, and they all seem like they're between the ages of 5 and 7 to 8, maybe. Yeah. And they were so happy they were crying.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's amazing.
It was awesome, actually.
That's amazing.
It was awesome.
Yeah, you love to see stuff like that. I mean,
yeah, it was so cool to see that in the end. I just thought.
Yeah.
But whatever. I love Moreno too. You can't, going back to Moreno, it's like you can't get a nicer, more genuine guy than Moreno. Like that guy doesn't sit. Like he acts so genuine all the time. He's almost just a goofball,
Well, he's just unapologetically himself.
Right,
he
exactly.
likes building Legos, and he's a nerd.
Right.
And,
yeah, I mean,
he is also a fucking
assassin. The way he talks,
assassin
the way he
baby, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and I don't know. I when I first started watching, when I first saw Moreno, I don't know. I just didn't like him for some reason. I just thought it was weird how he fought and how he was always like doing these moves or whatever. And it's not that I didn't like him. I just didn't have a liking for him, I guess. Yeah. But anyways, great guys. I think both great guys. 100% I want to see the rematch, and 100% they should do the rematch. I don't fucking care if they fought 3 times now. The first 2 fights don't count in my opinion because we did not see the same fighters that we saw on Saturday night.
No.
And
it's the same kind of deal with, they're going to fight 4 times just like him and Figueiredo fought 4 times, and that's just sometimes what it has to be. Sometimes we got to finish the series.
Yeah, who doesn't want to see it again? You go on the comments and tell us. If you don't want to see it again, tell us why.
Tell us why, right?
Because that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when you get a fight like this. It's not like it's like, oh, like we just have unfinished business. Like it was a close fight. This was like a fucking war. That like, why wouldn't you want to see it again?
Right, and that's the other thing. It's not like I don't know.
It's not like it was a boring fight.
It's not like, oh, well, who else are we going to fight? No, it's like I want to see that again immediately.
Yeah.
Like not immediately, obviously, but as soon as we can, that's the next fight I want to see.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, for sure.
So I don't know. All right, so awesome on them. Anything else on that one?
No, yeah, I'm good.
All right, so awesome on that. But yeah, let's move on to the main event. Alexander Volkanovski, Yair Rodriguez. I don't know. All I can say is Volk is the best pound-for-pound fighter in the UFC. Proved it once again. There's no questions about it. There's no arguments that anybody could ever have that would change my mind that this guy is the best fighter in the UFC right now in any division. Yeah. I don't fucking care if you're talking about John Jones. I don't care if you're talking about Izzy. I just don't care. This guy fucking dominated this Yair Rodriguez, who is supernatural pretty much with his kicks and the crazy angles and all this stuff. And what does Volk do? Comes in with his game plan and beats the living shit out of him.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that was the game plan, and he exactly executed it.
Yeah, and obviously the UFC agrees with you. Volk regained sole ownership of the pound-for-pound #1 ranking. He was tied with Makhachev. It was like a tied #1. I saw he regained sole ownership of that. So, and rightfully so. Like you said, there's nobody better than him. There's nobody doing what he's doing, winning in the fashion that he is against the guys that he's fighting. I mean, it's just incredible to see. We're witnessing.
I don't even know what else to
say. Special era.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even know what else to say about this guy. I mean, people were. I remember 5-6 fights ago when people were saying, "Oh, he's boring," and who's he fighting, and blah blah blah. What's his competition level? Yep. Look, the guy just fought Makhachev. Arguably won that fight. I don't know. I don't know what my real opinion is on that without watching it again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
But half the crowd thinks he won that fight. Beat the other best pound-for-pound guy in the UFC.
Right.
Comes back to his division, takes care of Yair.
Yeah.
And, I just thought the fight itself, I mean, the first round, Volk took him down, dominated him on the ground, just kept him down. Yair couldn't get up. And the thing that you go back to Yair's last fight against Josh Emmett and triangle choked him.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, Volk wasn't that wasn't even a thought in his mind.
Yeah.
He was like, whatever, I'm gonna go down, stay on top of you. I'm not gonna get choked out.
Yeah.
Did you see me against Makhachev? I wasn't worried about that either.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
It's like I'm laying on the
Fearless.
ground, Makhachev's arms around me all the time, and I'm just hanging out.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't bother me.
He's insane. No, yeah. I mean, I don't know what else more to add to that, but you hit the nail on the head.
I just don't feel like he even thought about I don't even think he thinks about it because I don't think he thinks it's even possible to choke him out. And you go back to the fight against Ortega.
No.
Ortega hit him twice.
Yeah.
Twice. Volk's head was red. Veins popping out of his head.
That's Ortega's
He's like,
too. Nobody escapes his guillotine. That's his,
Volk's just like, nah, I'm not tapping.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not passing out and I'm not tapping.
Yeah.
So, and you just tired your arms out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, now you're tired. Good on you. Yeah, right.
But, I mean, Yair didn't even have an attempt, I don't even think. Like, that was the thing. It's like, he didn't even have an attempt at a submission from the bottom.
Yeah.
That I saw anyway. I mean, I'm sure he was maybe working towards something or whatever. But I mean, the domination on the ground was just too much for him. Yeah. And it started at the end of the first round. I went back and watched this again too. Mm-hmm. And, the real domination on the ground didn't start till really the end of the first round in the last minute. I mean, Volk was just raining punches down on him.
Yeah. I mean, first round, he took him down 3 times. Second round, he took him down 3 times. Third, 1 time. And then, finished it. I mean,
the thing that I noticed too is like Volk waited for his spots. I mean, he just wasn't going crazy and throwing 100 punches at a time. He waited for that one opening. Like Yair would turn one way or whatever, and he'd see an opening, and he would just take advantage of it right away.
Yeah.
Like just saw the opening, attacked right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
many times did you take him out in the third round?
once and then finished him.
Yeah, because in the third round, it was like, I got the feeling Volk, I went back and watched it again. I got the feeling Volk was like, okay, now we're going to stand up.
Yeah.
And he was like, Volk ate a couple really nice shots by Yair.
Well,
but
those kicks are just.
Yeah, he ate a kick and he ate a good punch, but then he came back with this punch and just knocked him down. Yeah. Like, knocked him down. Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was like, Yair hit him with a kick and a punch right after that, but then Volk came right back, straight right hand, knocked him down. And this is just shows you the level of Volk, right? Mm-hmm. So knocks him down. What does he do? Does he jump on him and start raining punches? No. He picks him up by his ass, dumps him down, and then starts ground and pounding him.
It's just crazy, the composure, and I don't know, you can just tell he is who he is by the way he does things in there.
I think he's just the best.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't like him for a very long time because I still believe to this day that he lost the second fight against Holloway. And I really do like Holloway. I still do. But
it's great fights.
I was very upset about that for a long time. But where I'm going with this is he's just become undeniable to anybody.
Yeah, back then I think he was, he has obviously, Volk has that cockiness. He thinks he's the best. He knows he's the best.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like he'll tell you he's the best. And it's like a lot of it kind of rubbed people the wrong way like years ago, but it doesn't even rub me the wrong way right now because I'm like the guy's right. Like the guy's right.
That's what I'm saying. I've come around to the fact that it's like he's right. He is the number one. Holloway's never going to beat him.
Right.
It's never.
No.
Whatever.
No.
I've let that go. Yeah.
Well, You should definitely let that go after the third fight.
Well, right. That's what I'm saying. After the second fight, though, I was very upset about that. Yeah. But, it's because I was biased towards Holloway. I wanted him to win. I probably saw it different than a lot of other people. A lot of people probably thought Volk won the second fight. Yeah. Whatever. But I've come around.
But I think that just shows you the progression of Volk, too, that, like, his hands in that third Holloway fight were just, okay, Max is known for his hand speed. Volk was quicker than him for sure.
Yeah.
Beat him to every punch. Mm-hmm. And that's what it's like. It's like, okay, I'm going to beat you at your game. I think that, that's kind of where Volk is now. He's like, okay, my hands are going to get a lot better, and I'm going to beat you at your game now. Yeah. So.
No, I agree.
And I think with Yair, this was the game plan. Obviously, even a amateur viewer of the UFC could look at those two and say, okay, the game plan is going to be Volk's going to take him down.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to get hung up in these kicks and crazy punches and things that Yair's doing. Everybody knew he was going to do it. He did it anyway, and Yair knew he was going to do it too, obviously. Yeah. How could you not?
Wasn't able to defend it.
Right, because when you really look at, when the fight first started, when the fight first started, I looked at both of them, and I was like, Yair's a lot taller, a lot longer.
Yeah.
Volk's short and, stocky like he is. And
one thing I was going to say about Volk is I think he has the perfect build to be champion, to be a UFC fighter. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think, he's short. Maybe his reach isn't as big. But he also fights to his build. You know what I mean? Like
and he gets in, like he gets in the close distance. Like he doesn't try and land from far away. Right. From his just, okay, reach, here's my reach. I'm going to hit you right here. Yeah. No, he steps in and hits you with a punch that's coming, right close in range.
He's just a bulldog. Yeah. He's fantastic.
And obviously short, stocky, hard to take down. Makhachev took him down, but that wasn't even really a threat to him.
Right.
Yeah. I really got to go back and watch that fight again.
Yeah, we should.
Definitely got to go back and watch that fight again. Because I just thought, I think there's so much controversy looking back on it now, and I still see people talking about it on Twitter and all that. Yeah. And it's like, there's just so much back and forthing. Initially, when I watched the fight, I thought Makhachev won. And then I watched it again, and I was like, well, I don't know. I can see how people thought that Volk won.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought that was a really good.
We'll see it again, you think, right?
I hope so. Yeah. I did, and it's funny that you mentioned that because I didn't really want to see it in the beginning. I just thought, like, I don't
what are we
know.
doing
I'm not
type of
like,
deal.
yeah, I'm not like super big on guys fighting out of their weight class and
Yeah.
going up a division or going down a division and super fights and things like that. But I don't know. This is such a great matchup that, yeah, I think we have to see it again.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I remember not being too hot on it either. Like when we were, I thought, Makhachev. Well, the other thing is, when are we going to see the rematch? Because Makhachev has to fight someone in his division.
Well,
He's talking about going to other divisions and doing this and that.
Well, and that's
He's
the thing.
gotta
Now with
plan it
Oliveira,
out.
with Oliveira having such an impressive performance against Dariush, it's like we kind of have to see Oliveira fight Makhachev again.
Right. There's going to be some things that happen before
Definitely
Makhachev and Volk fight
definitely
again.
need to see that next, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I think, but there's always that division is so crazy that how can you deny guys a fight and give Volk a fight, right?
Yeah.
Because now we've got Poirier and Gaethje coming up.
Right.
And the winner of that fight probably should get the winner of Oliveira and Makhachev.
Yeah.
For sure. Like,
100%.
I don't think you can deny those guys after they're going to, this fight is going to be incredible for sure.
Yeah.
And after that
Poirier
fight,
and Gaethje, you mean.
Yeah. After that fight, which 100% is going to be incredible. And how can you deny the winner of that fight a championship fight?
Yeah, no, there's definitely...
Or make them wait a year and it's like, oh, no, we got to have Volk fight Makhachev. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
You have to prioritize the division at some point rather than, another super fight between
But on the
Volk
other...
and
Yeah.
Makhachev.
But on the other hand, I think these guys like Poirier and Gaethje are on their last run, and they're not the guys that are fighting every 6 months, even though Gaethje's coming back pretty quickly. But Poirier hasn't fought in a while, probably a year. So that's not to say that they wouldn't mind waiting a year to fight again.
Right.
So.
I think, like you said, though, they're Gaethje for sure because he said it, and Poirier too. They're getting to that point of their career where it's like we got to make it happen now, or my window of peak performance is going to slip away.
Right. And from their perspective, it's like they're just not going to fight anybody, especially Poirier. Like. The guy's done everything. He's fought everybody. He's fighting Gaethje for the second time now.
Yeah.
So, you can't expect him just to come up and fight some guy ranked number 10 or number 8 or whatever. It's
they're way past that in their career.
It's not. That's just never going to happen.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, Volk wants to fight all the time.
All the time.
Like, he's like, I want to fight 3 times a year.
Right.
He wants to fight anybody.
Yeah.
Like I think he wants to fight Makhachev, obviously, but he wants to stay super active. That's what he said. That's what he said again. That's what he said now.
Yeah.
It's like he wants to fight all the time.
Yeah.
Which I'm all for that. Let's see him fight.
For sure.
100%.
Got to see him fight. Yeah.
Let's see him fight as many times as I can see that guy fight. I want to see it.
Right. The entertainment value that he brings, the aura that he brings, I would, and like you said, you have to respect that. The guy who wants to fight all the time, going back to someone like Sean Strickland, or, they're just down for it whenever, wherever, against whoever.
I just think it's awesome that Volk has that mentality because as fans, I want to see him fight as much as possible. I'd love to see other guys fight as much as possible too, but these guys that have taken a lot of damage, Poirier and Gaethje, who have been in real wars in their career. And Volk, he's been so dominant that I don't even know if he's been in a real war. Ortega was the last one I remember.
That was a war.
And then the second Max fight probably. But
yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel like, it's hard to, you want to see guys fight, but I always have that in the back of my head. It's like these guys are just they're putting danger on themselves.
It's a ruthless sport. Yeah, it's not something you can do all the time. We talk about, the NFL and these guys play, 16 times a year because of the way of the sport. You know what I mean? Because of how much damage they take
bashing
throughout
their heads into each other.
Yeah. If you really think about it, it's performing or playing your sport 16 times a year is not a lot. Fighting 3 times a year is not a lot, but it is because of the way the sport is, 100%. Of course it's a lot, but I'm saying like only doing it 3 times a year, this is what you do, you're a professional fighter.
Right.
3 times a year doesn't seem like a lot, but in all reality it is. Yeah.
Right, and football is a whole other discussion, but I feel like, having guys play on a Sunday and then having them play on a Thursday right after that is fucking ridiculous. Like,
Right.
they cannot, obviously, whatever. It's a money thing, and it's a money sport, and that's why they do it. But to me, that's ridiculous. 7 days off is even like for football, pushing it for these guys.
Yeah, 100%.
But that's a whole other discussion.
That is a whole other discussion.
But anyways, so yeah, that's kind of all I got on that.
Yeah. Going back to what I said before, I think we were really in need of a very good card. 289 was kind of lackluster as far as the lineup goes, so you could tell they were kind of saving up for International Fight Week, and then we have a lot coming after this, so very, very excited.
Yeah, 2 fight nights coming up. One, we're filming this on Friday, so tomorrow night Holly Holm is fighting. Then next week we got Aspinall from the O2 Arena, headlining that one.
Yep.
And then after that, crazy card coming up.
Yeah.
You name a fighter, it seems like they're on the card.
On the card. Exactly.
You name your favorite fighter, they're on the card.
Yep.
Is it Bobby Green? Yes. Is it Kevin Holland? Yes. Is it Derek Lewis? Yes. Yep, okay, so they're all on the card. Anyways, we got to do a preview on that for sure.
For sure. Undoubtedly.
But yeah, all right, that's all I got.
Cool.
Be sure to follow us.
Yes.
Actually changed the board this time. So follow us, 5 City MMA. On
what did it say before Bilal is back?
No, it was something about Shauna, who was our visitor.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Anyways, but find us on YouTube at 5 City Media. All of our videos are on there. And find us Throwing Hammers podcast at 5 City MMA on TikTok, Instagram,
all the social
Twitter,
medias.
and now Threads.
Not
sure how I like that, but we should talk about that sometime.
We should do just like a 5 City podcast episode on Threads.
On Threads, yeah, how weird it is.
We can just do like a 15-minute,
Yep.
minute. Yeah, cool.
All right, sounds good.
Cool. All right,
thanks for tuning in. Subscribe, like, all that jazz.
See you later.
Thanks.
Thanks.